I'm Tim Thurston of Team I, and I'm talking with Jamie Martin of Correct Careers Coaching. And today we're going to be talking about basic selling, both in terms of digital as well as traditional selling. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Tim. Selling, it's a good concept to be aware of in various different areas, especially due to business changing in current situations. So, what's your thoughts on a basic and digital selling?
Well, I think the interesting part for me is twofold. One, it's just the structure of selling, which I think is often misconstrued. And traditionally people say, oh, he's a great salesman, he can talk the hind leg off a donkey, which of course is completely the worst thing you can do, because you're talking about yourself, you're not finding out about your prospects and customers. And secondly, the way that selling is evolving from the traditional methods of either face-to-face or over the phone. It's evolved into email selling, and now, of course, there's multi-channels through digital. So in the time we've got available today, I think it would be great to cover the traditional path of selling and then looking at how technology can assist that. Tell us about how you build relationships and start that sales process, Jamie.
Yeah, so I think society has to adapt in regards to the way they sell in present modern times. And the reason is because, honestly speaking, no one really likes to be sold to, and people tend to stay away from when they hear the words like selling. So the way I would speak about it and train it is actually building relationships. It's about business development in a sales concept, but you're actually building relationships with people. So to do that, you want to build rapport. You want to, get the customer to talk more than you do. There's something called the 80-20 rule, and you're really just understanding, first of all, what about the customer and themselves as a person and the business, what their needs are, why you're having that conversation, and the values you can both provide each other. So I would call that needs-based selling. I think if you can, first of all, build a rapport with a customer, identify what their needs are, then you don't have to, do a hard sell, so to speak. You can naturally just speak with them about what your service or product could provide, the value, and effectively help their business moving forward. So it doesn't ever feel like selling anymore. It's actually building relationships and supporting businesses, to improve areas of their business, whether it's service or product related.
100%. It's finding out what they need, isn't it, and helping them with the correct solution. And there's no shame if the products and services that you don't offer do not provide the service they need. Then you've still enhanced your relationship with them, and then it's not no, it's just not now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. I mean, not everyone's going to want a certain service or product right at this minute, but it's something that they may want for you in the future. So again, it's really important in basic selling is to build relationships with a variety of customers and industries and businesses, because they could be your customers moving forward. And you don't just get a sale on your first interaction. It's usually around 5+ times to build a relationship with someone, for them to trust you, know your authenticity, and want to work with you. So it's better to start building relationships with people now, and then when moving forward they want to proceed with your product or service, then you've already built that relationship, which will help with the sales point of it.
Absolutely. And then when we start talking about our own products, you often refer to the 4 Ps, don't you?
Yeah, the 4 Ps are sort of a well-known concept. So we're talking about price, product, place, and promotion. So each one of them really helps a business, not only develop their value proposition, but how they will brand their business services, their products, and what to provide the customers, because it's a competitive market nowadays. Various different types of businesses and industries. Unless you've got a really niche area, you are up with competition. So first of all, you need to identify, is your price suitable for probably the value of the product? I wouldn't go with what your competitors are necessarily doing. I would say what the value is of your product, what benefit it's going to provide the customers, what product you have or service, and who's your target market, because then you're going to help yourself sell more. Talking about, the geographical location or times of, sector or industry, or, where your place is, your business is in place for the service and your customers you want to provide it to, and then promoting it, so the brand awareness of the product or the service, the messages, the consistent messages you're giving businesses, and effectively, them remembering you over a period of time, because whether it's a new customer, that might take time to convert. Whether it's an existing customer, they are going to get competitors also approaching them. So you need to be a constant reminder from the value of service and customer service you actually provide your current customers as well.
Excellent. Let's just expand for a couple of minutes on the price element. You mentioned you don't want to. Well, I think what you're saying is you don't want to drive prices down and hit the bottom. It's about value and investment, isn't it? Pricing. It's quite an interesting topic. Companies like McDonald's spend an awful lot of money doing research in terms of bundles of their packages, and we all know that when you go to McDonald's, you don't generally buy one item. You get packaged up into a Happy Meal or whatever they're called. So what's your view on pricing, and how do you kind of gauge the right value for money that you're giving your customers?
Well, there's two ways I would probably mostly look at it at the start. Is it a high valued product, or is it a high volume product? Like McDonald's, it would be high volume, so they can afford to make it cost effective for their customers. So you've really got to identify that, and that's going to depend on the actual product or itself or service, the industry, and what that actually looks like for your customers. So once you've identified that, it's either it's definitely worth doing your own research, looking at your competitors, finding out what they're charging themselves. Do your beta testing, so with a sample of businesses or a network, identify would this price be suitable for them. But also you've got to think about your overheads of the cost of the actual product or service. So you've got to look at the return of investment from it, as you mentioned. So what the value is going to have to a business, what cost it's going to cost you to actually implement it or provide it to businesses. And effectively, I would say, to really work out your price is look at, how is this going to benefit the actual customer? So is it going to increase their market, their share, their turnover, their percentages in gross sales? And once you've really got that, then you should have confidence and value in the price you are pitching to businesses, because, not every business is going to want to buy a discounted product or, a cheaper product. Companies nowadays, they do want the best of the best. So you really have to identify that, first of all, your service or product, there is a gap in the market, there is a customer need for it, and then that will help you identify the suitable price for that.
Indeed, and I think you make a very good point there. Sometimes price does create a perception of quality in a customer's mind. So if you are a premium product, then you need to be a premium price. If you're not a premium price, then you won't be perceived as a premium product. Good stuff. Let's talk now, Jamie, about the different methods of selling and the ways that we can communicate people, particularly using technology, which is obviously very relevant in the way that social isolation has changed the way we operate, with lots more people working remotely now. Talk us through the different opportunities there are, please.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better interaction really with someone than face-to-face, and unfortunately we are unable to do that at the moment, but we do have video conferencing tools. So whether it's Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and various other platforms, you can still do selling via video conference. It's probably the best way to do it at this moment in time, because you can read body language, you can build a rapport, and although you're not actually physically next to someone, you are still having a face-to-face interaction. And telephone, telephone is not dead. A lot of individuals, don't use the telephone as much, but now is a good opportunity to actually embrace the telephone, build relationships with people on the phone. Everybody's in the same boat. So, telephone is a good tool, and you can use various different techniques with that, conferencing, FaceTime, even on certain apps. And in fact, when we talk about technology, the video conferences you can do on your phone remotely, or away from your desktop and laptop, so that you can still do that, in various different channels as well. But personally speaking, you still have email, you still have social media, and you still have other applications, whether it's even, texting and stuff like that. Every interaction with a potential customer is a building relationship interaction. So I think you just need to it's got to be appropriate to your customer and how they work, and everybody works differently now, especially with different generations, and maybe deliver a different type of messaging. So if we even look at, say, social media, what's the message, who's your audience, is there value within it, so people are actually going to want to click on the service or lead it onto your website or a landing page. And again, by email, look at how you're drafting emails, your scripts, what you're saying to customers. But effectively, video conference and telephone would probably be the best routes at this point in time.
Absolutely. So it's different touch points, as many touch points as you can, and different communication style and information relevant to the touch point that you're using. That's the summary, I think, there, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I quite agree. And, we've got to look at, other areas, of course, everyone's want to, sell, and probably even more so now because businesses are changing. But it's really about, the customer service you provide your existing customers and the relationship you're going to build with your new customers. And that's about you as an organization, you as a person, and the value you're actually going to provide someone and the service, because they're going to want to work with people, especially moving forward, who are going to provide them the best service. So if any sort of top tips from yourself there, Tim, to help with basic and digital selling at the moment?
No, I think that's well covered. What I'd like to talk about now is that I often use this as an example of salesmanship, or salespersonship, which people don't tend to appreciate. When we're in a restaurant, if you finished your drink and the waiter or waitress server comes up and says, "Can I get you another drink, sir?" I immediately think, "Wow, yes, please, that's great service." What, of course, that person has done has sold me another drink, and I'm delighted. I'm enjoying my experience more, and at the end of the meal, that person's got a bigger tip. That, for me, completely epitomises customer service selling. Do you relate to that, Jamie?
Yeah, I quite agree. I mean, it's wherever you are, and the restaurant is a good example. First of all, you're just making sure that the customer is having the best experience, and as long as you can provide them the best experience, providing the best customer service, they're naturally either going to want to purchase more from yourself, or they'll be writing you good reviews, which is going to speak volume to your rest of your target market, the rest of your customers as well. So yeah, it's actually about asking the right questions and making sure that the customer has everything they need at this point in time. That that would be the best customer service, Alan.
Good. So just to finally pull things together, how can we sell better?
Yeah, so I mean, we are having to adapt business at this moment of time. So first of all, make sure you've got the technology to help with adaptable working, and invest in technology or learn how to use it. I mean, go and seek sales trainers, or look at webinars and podcasts to educate yourself in different methods of selling. And again, utilize different platforms, but don't be afraid to adapt, whether it's your email, your sales scripts, your social media, or even your approach when you're using the telephone and social media. Every business is changing at the moment, so you need to change with that. But the best thing to do is really identify, building the relationship with your customers, what their needs are, and effectively you don't ever need to sell anymore. You can just identify and provide the best value your product or service has for them.
That's a great summary. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Tim.